Okay. Hi. Bad. Okay. Bye forever, friend.
Help! Help!
Oh, I like your wig. Where'd you get that?
Oh yeah, someone made me buy a wig. It's terrible. I tell you, I was on a call last night with the Glasgow, Manchester, and Northern Ireland branches, talking about the website, which was really cool.
Oh,
And and they had me on StreamYard. And the way that Michael Stevenson, who got it all set up, was he was kind of big on the screen.
yeah.
And then there was, I think the order was George Dunn, Emma McConaughey, and then me. And the way when he put the overlay on the screen, it kind of half covered me. So I was going kind of got the overlay here, and I was sort of doing this behind the overlay, just playing around with it on the screen.
To be fair, I think I'd judge you if you didn't do that because that's not you to not fool around.
But it was great because I'm kind of like there's the overlay here, and I'm just sort of like this. I just kept going and then popping up and doing so. It was brilliant.
Right.
It was brilliant. Was I meant to do lipstick as well today?
You were meant to wear the wig. I don't know if you missed the memo on that.
Just gets in the way. Reminds me of being like mid 20s again with kind of long hair. Just
Oh my god, I saw that picture and I was like, there's no way, like this is real, like that has to be a wig. But then I forgot, like that's kind of like the era where dudes had long hair.
where's it gone? I've got to find the
Right
picture now.
behind you.
It's the one. Yeah, and I'm finding it's the picture. It's there. We go. It's a silly picture, isn't it? It's the picture of me with long hair.
That's amazing.
That's many. That's 26 years ago, maybe 26,
Yeah,
27 years ago.
right.
When I was a young man with all my own hair.
So, anyways, how are you?
Tired today.
Oh,
Tired. Yeah, just having a bit of a drained week, I think. But I know, but I know I'll have a talk to you, and I'll get energy, and it'll be cool. So yeah, so I'm tired. How are you?
you better ring me up. I can't talk. English is hard. I already did a Zoom call earlier today, and I had to like be so mentally prepared for it. And it was about like scanning systems. I was talking to Stephen from Celtic SMR, and we were talking about scanning systems and the equipment and stuff that
Did
we
you
use.
did you say Stephen?
No, I meant Steve. Oh God.
Stephen Sheldon. Stephen, right? You wait till I chat with Stephen. Just chat with Stephen. Stephen.
Stefan. It just sounds like such a twat. But
He is lovely, isn't he? He is one
he's
of
amazing.
the nicest. I mean, I've known Steve or Stephen as he should now be called. Um, I've known him pretty much all the way through my podiatry career. I think he's been a fairly constant throughout the kind of the manufacturers, so Canonbury and various other people. So I've known him as he's travelled through those, and the stuff he's doing with Celtic SMR is great. And we've had some really good conversations recently around the, I'll do it in a Doctor Evil voice, laser, and that's been great fun. So come on, what are we talking about with him then, Stephen?
Whoops. I've done that. I think I've sent that to him in a message as well, and he's not called me out on it. At least I think he hasn't, because my
He's
attention
too
span is like itty
he's
bitty.
too polite. He's too polite.
I know. I think it's also incorrect. Like it's not even Steven. It's just Steve.
I've always known him as Steve, but Stephen could stick.
Well, you didn't get it from me.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like we're recording this or anything.
No, it's not like I'm gonna publish it either.
Awkward, awkward.
Right. So I wanted to talk to you about a little comment that was left on one of my videos. We're not going to name any names, Fred. We're not going to name any names. But the what was the comment again? Because I think you and Tyson also commented after.
It was you. The context from memory. You'll correct me if I'm wrong on this. The context is you had a Zoom call with Tyson. You recorded it. You put it out on your channels,
Yeah.
and you did a little trailer which was you with some kind of overlay, like a Snapchat overlay,
Yeah, let's have
with kind of
that.
little mouse voice, a little bunny ears and a mouse voice or something like that. And you did it. You did it in Ector style, which is kind of lively and funny, taking the piss out of yourself as much as anything else. And you put it on UK Podiatry with a link to it, which I thought was great. And for me, it's something different. It stands out. It's not what other people are doing. Everyone else is zigging, you're zagging. Well, for me, that's it's showing.
Because like,
Yeah, zigga zigga. What film's that from?
Spice Girls, Spice Girls. I knew it. You can't, you can't.
No, no. There's a no. Zigga Zigari. Okay, Zigga Zigari is Spice Girls, but actually there is a film where there is something very similar, and it's there's a band called Yellow who did a song called The Race, which is an instrumental, and it comes from a film called Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Are you telling me you've not seen Ferris Bueller's Day Off?
You? No, I've not seen it.
Right, Hector Van Gama, you need. In fact, I tell you what, I'm going to get a copy of Ferris Bueller's Day Off for you, and I'm going to send it to you because you need to see Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Go on then. Go send it my way. Do it. Do it now.
Well, now, okay, bye. Yeah, it is the most amazing film. But anyway, we're off topic. So
Yeah.
you did that little trailer which stood out, and that for me was. I mean, okay. I think it's genius. Some people will call it a bit, meh, a bit silly. I call it brave. You know, there's all kinds of positive. For me, it's a completely positive thing. And somebody commented, "How does this add?" Something along the lines of, "How does this add to our profession?"
Yeah.
And simple point is, it adds to it. It doesn't matter whether it adds positively or in your view. It has no. It's a very personal kind of subjective choice. But for me, it adds because you're doing something. And I think that was the. It wasn't their flavour. It wasn't the professional. I've done air quotes 3 times today.
Yeah.
Look at that. It wasn't the professional image that people view. And I'm
Yeah.
sorry, but unless you're doing
Right.
something better.
Yeah. Oh well, I mean, like I to be fair, like when I first read that comment, I kind of giggled to myself a little bit because I was like, well, I'm in first year, or I've literally just finished first year, and we've not. I'm technically still considered first year in my mind because I've not sat my OSCE exams yet, so the clinical exams that we're supposed to do. Because that was supposed to be in April, got delayed, blah blah blah. We're here now, so technically I'm still in my first year mindset still. What kind of like contributions do you like are you expecting me to make in my first year, or even my second year, or even my third year? Like, do you know what I mean?
You see, but that's an interesting point though, because what contributions do we expect of you? But what contributions can you actually provide? And I would, and I'll maybe put my neck out on this and say that in your year and a bit of doing podiatry as a student, you have contributed more to the profession than a hell of a lot of people. Because you are raising the profile, you're raising the awareness. How many people have seen your videos and gone, a put what? A put what? Oh, what, you work with children? No. I'm a podiatrist. Well, what's that? How many people have gone, what's a podiatrist, and found out and now know what a podiatrist is because they've seen one of your videos?
I can't really say, but I do
Because
have a lot of.
if it's one, it makes a difference.
Okay, we'll say one then, just for argument's sake. We'll say one.
But then also think about it from the perspective of, I mean, okay, you had that picture of you staring in a very suspicious way at a red microphone earlier this week, where you were doing some interview stuff. You've done the video for Northampton for the podiatry students. You've been on BBC News. So you know what you're doing is getting okay. It's getting you attention. It has a positive benefit for you, and you know let's not let's call that out because why shouldn't it? Why shouldn't it put you in a better position and you know all that kind of stuff? But
Yeah.
also, when people are talking to you and you're talking about being a student podiatrist, you are raising the profile of the profession. Now, some people are going to turn around and go, "Yeah, we want the professional profile to be raised. We want people to know what we do, but not like that, or
Yeah.
not like that." It's like, well, hang on a minute. You know, we have I think we have this issue generally where people go, yeah. I want people to know where we are and what we're doing and who we are and how we help and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And we want to tell people, but not like that, or like that, or like that, and then don't offer a way that we can do it. And
I've
that's
got
really
like I've
frustrating.
got a solution because okay, now I this is gonna like it's gonna be bragging, and I don't typically like to brag about myself. It makes me feel really uncomfortable. But there's a point in the point that I'm going to make. So when I first started podiatry, there was a crisis team called Crisis for Christmas. organization for to help homelessness in the UK. And they were based in London. And in my first year, I volunteered there for 4 days, 4 or 5 days, I think. And after that, I wrote a little article, and it got published in Podiatry Now, or yeah, it got published in Podiatry Now. However, so for my first year, I thought like, wow, this is pretty good. That being said, though, you have to subscribe to that. Like, you have to be a podiatrist to get those kind of magazines.
Hmm.
So how many people that article has actually reached is like, it's already capped to a certain amount of people. Secondly, I honestly, like, if that magazine is going to be so limited, how are we supposed to spread awareness? Make it unlimited, make it for everybody, I think.
Yeah, and I think it's a really good point. It's a really good point that we have this magazine which highlights what's good in podiatry. The flip side of that is it's more of a, I suppose, a clinical and industry style magazine. So it'd be like having a magazine on underwater basket weaving, which, you know, unless you're into underwater basket weaving, you're probably not going to read too much. But no, I think it's a really good point.
And like the thing is, like, there's so many, like, I mean, not just even about me at this point, but there's so many people that have, like, Ivan Bristow, for example. He releases articles on there, and there's so many other people that like put out like research topics. And I think if you make it more public, it's going to reach more people. It's going to get them thinking. Not only is it going to reach more people, it's going to reach more potential students.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well, this is the thing, and you know, I was talking last night. It was, yeah, talking last night and actually talking about the new website. And I remember the conversation we had at the beginning of the website tender process, which was last year, and it was, what do we want the website to do? So it's got to be a number of things. It's got to be a place where you can have all of your data and details as a member. You've got your insurance documents. You've got, you know, we've got an app coming which so we can go to people when you visit them and say, this is me, this is my ID card. It's got to be able to provide CPD and education. It's got to be able to provide a way of communicating with members and back to the college.
Yeah.
And it's also got to be able to promote the profession and give the patient and give the public information. It's a really big sell to have it to do all of those things. And actually, looking at the website, it kind of does the majority of them, and it will do them really, really well. There's stuff to iron out, obviously, but the challenge for me is, if you don't know what podiatry is, why would you even be looking for it? Why would you look for something which you don't know exists? Or why would you look for something which you don't know what it's called? Or why would you look for something that you don't know that you need?
Yeah, exactly.
That's the challenge. That's the challenge. So, you know, there's when I was nursing.
But then you could argue that, okay, well, I could just go see my GP, and he could take a look at my feet, and then he can refer me to a podiatrist.
You could,
But
and
then
I think
would it not be simpler to cut out the middleman and go straight to a podiatrist?
it would, and I think my experience of GPs, and not all GPs are like this. Most GPs are fantastic. There are a lot of GPs who either don't refer to podiatry because they don't realise they can, or they don't refer to podiatry because actually they don't know enough about it, or they don't refer to podiatry because actually from a money perspective, there's things which GPs can do, which podiatrists can do, in particular nail surgery, which they can keep within their remit, and they tend to be capped on referring things. It depends on where you are.
Yeah.
I mean, I've done even, God, even a couple of years ago, before I sold my practice, I ended up going out to a GP surgery to give them some education on, as a private practitioner, an education on podiatry. But I did this in an area which I don't even serve. So we're talking probably an area 20 miles away from where my clinic was. But because of the relationship, I knew one of the GPs, and she said, "Oh, will you come and talk to the doctors?" Yeah, absolutely. It's a chance to promote what we do. So I think we're at a level where people don't know what we do. They don't
Yeah.
know. They don't know what we do. They don't know how we can help. They don't make the connection. They don't know we exist. And you know, it's you know those times where you go on Google thinking, "Oh, I need to get this thing, and I know what it looks like, but I don't know what the name is." And you kind
Yeah.
of throw. I mean, I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think of a really bad example. Let's think of one. I will think of one in a moment where it's like, I don't know. I can't think of the name of this animal, but it's like a stripy horse. and it's something which when and someone you'll go on Google and go, "What's a stripy horse?" and it'll come back and say a zebra or a zebra if you're in a
Yeah,
certain part of the world, and you go, "Yeah, that's what it's called." And I
yeah,
think it's the same with podiatry is that people don't know what podiatry is, so they go in there going, "Oh, I've got a problem with my foot, or a problem with my leg, and I don't know who to go and see," and they'll go and type in, the problem they've got with their foot as they describe it in their words.
yeah,
What will pop up is the people who've managed to understand what people are looking for. So it might be a physiotherapist pops up, or it might be a
yeah,
podiatrist which pops up. So people don't know. People don't know what we do or what we are, and whether they need us because they haven't made the connection.
yeah. No, I get that. And just to backtrack a little bit on like contributions and stuff like that, like other than contributing in a way that only makes yourself look good and not elevating the profession, what other type of contribution like would you give value to? Does that make sense? Like
No,
if you've
no.
got
Put it in another context on me. Come on, English, English. Use some
okay,
English, woman. Come on.
it's you know what? I got my lipstick on. I don't need to speak well. I'm adorable.
You certainly are.
This red lipstick is very powerful. Look at my confidence. Ooh, girl. Right. No, but what I'm trying to say is like if you're only looking at contribution or a contribution to the field in regards to like articles or anything that you can kind of self elevate, like, oh, I published this article, I made a new discovery on this, blah blah blah, look at me, look how awesome I am, as opposed to like a contribution that will kind of shine more light on what the profession actually is, whether it be in a funny way or a silly way or an educational way, it doesn't really matter. Like, what are you going to give more value to? Like, one is already quite niche. Like, if you have contribution in the sense that you've got one person releasing an article on a toenail, how many people is that going to reach? As opposed to like funny videos. Everybody loves funny videos.
Let's. I know. I
That's
know.
where
I
my
know. I know. And do you know I like that's a deeply philosophical thing, and I like that.
yeah.
So let's look at it from different perspectives. If you're rowing a boat, you don't want everyone at the front shouting orders about rowing the boat. You need somebody who's on the lookout. You need somebody who's on the up in the crow's nest. You need people on the oars on one side. You need people on the oars on the other. You need someone with the rudder. Everyone has a role to play. So somebody who is doing research into a particular problem or condition is massively important because that helps the people in the profession to use that knowledge and information to treat people more effectively and get people better. That is a contribution. It might not be a direct contribution, but it is a contribution. We need people who make silly videos and put Snapchat filters on them as cats and go, "Watch a video, it's a link." We need that because there'll be some people who'll be drawn to that and it will make them think and it will give them ideas about what to do. It'll inspire some and it will repel others, as we've seen from comments. We need people who are at the front line cutting people's toenails, whether you call it core podiatry, routine podiatry, basic care, whatever you want to call it. Because and somebody said to me yesterday about this, they said, it doesn't change lives. And I'm like, you can cut someone's toenail and it does change your life. And what's the one about Cinderella that just to show that changing a pair of shoes can change any girl's life? It's something relatively simple to us, but it does make a difference. That's contribution. So every part of it is contribution, and one bit is not greater than the other. But if we've got the best profession, which has the best outcomes and gets people better quicker than anyone else, that's brilliant. Unless people don't know who it is. And I've just pulled up actually because this is when you talked about contribution, it brought up a memory of a thing called the 6 human needs. See, I'm going to go all coach you in psychology now.
Ah, do it. Love it.
This is something through Tony Robbins, and it's something which some of my coaches have kind of introduced me to. And actually, can I could share the screen, couldn't I? We could do. Should we do a share screen type thing?
Yes, but
You
I'm
have
not
to you
good
have to
with
let.
tech. As long as I
Are
don't
you, are
have
you
anything.
so we'll do that later. We can show that later. Maybe if we edit it with tricks, it can kind of fly in from the side. But there's a thing called the 6 human needs, and it works on kind of three domains. You've got certainty and variety, you've got love and connection and significance, and then you've got contribution and growth. And they're kind of on a scale, so you can have certainty or you can have variety or a mixture of both. You can have significance, you can have love and connection or a mixture of both, and you can have growth and you can have contribution. And I've sat down with one of my mentors and coaches, Rich, about this because Rich has very heavily looked at this, and the way he's put it across to me is amazing. And he actually talks about the fact that everything comes from contribution. Absolutely everything comes from contribution. And your video is a contribution. You doing Crisis at Christmas is a contribution. I do Forgotten Feet and have been, since about 2015. That's contribution. Somebody looking at the research into the toenail unit of, young athletes is a contribution. Everything kind of stems from that contribution. Everything comes from that. And if we lead with the idea about how can this contribute to help someone, that's always a good place to go. Now, if the byproduct is, I don't know, you do a video with a Snapchat filter as a cat doing squeaky noises, and then because of that, someone turns around and says, would you like to come on local BBC News and talk about podiatry? Well, yeah. And if the byproduct of that is that actually people see you and you get offered opportunity to do other things, well, why not?
Yeah.
But I think what people see sometimes is they go, oh, well, you're being picked to do something. You're becoming more famous for something, or that's
Because
just
I'm
not.
putting myself out there.
Yeah, exactly. And but you're not putting yourself out there because the end game is I want to be famous. You're
Yeah.
putting yourself out there because it's the right thing to do at the right time, and it's actually opportunity comes when you do put yourself out there. So I think there's a really kind of big kind of thing around there. And I think we have as well quite a deep-seated worry and fear about putting our head above the parapet. There's a thing called tall poppy syndrome where you start to kind of show yourself a little bit more, and what happens is people come along in your profession and just go psh, and they slap you back down because they don't like the way you're doing it.
Almost.
Yeah, and I've seen this a huge amount, seen it a huge amount with people, and some of the people I've been working with recently, I'm chuckling because it's something I went through. Is when you start to put yourself out there a bit more, you do attract people who don't like what you're doing. And I know we had a little message back and forth with that video you did, excuse me, that comment which came up. And that comment is entirely reflects where that individual is at that moment.
Right.
That
Yeah.
nothing more, nothing less. That's where they are, that's their thing, they must own it. But what we do is we go, and I'm sure you had that little kind of skip beat moment where you saw that and went, because we all do when something like that happens. And I see it with a lot of my clients. They're like, we'll do something on social media, which is a little bit, for them, is particularly edgy and risky, or they feel it's edgy and risky because it gets them seen and it gets a reaction, gets a response. And people aren't prepared for that. So that was a bit of a long route round for somewhere. I was going somewhere with that one. But yeah, do more video, get out there, put yourself out there more, promote the profession. And actually, and we had conversations about this recently. This is one of the things which I do find quite frustrating, is, promoting the profession of podiatry or foot health or whatever you want to bill it as is the responsibility of everyone within that profession. Absolutely everyone within the industry should be doing it. And it's much easier if we all do our little bit consistently and repeatedly, and that will make a much, much bigger difference. But I've had people turn around and go, well, it's not my job to promote the profession. That's the job of the College of Podiatry or the Institute of Chiropodists and Podiatrists or whatever body it is.
Yeah.
It's not for us to do it. They need to tell us what to do. And it's like, pardon my French, but that's bollocks. You need to be doing it. You need to be putting yourself out there. There you
Yeah,
go. Woo, rant over. Woo.
Let's go. Oh,
There you
God.
go. Well, that's me being cancelled from a number of cocktail parties this year.
Oh my God, don't even sweat it. I think we're both gonna be canceled together. It's gonna be fun. But no, back to another point that you were making earlier. It's when I was doing all this like BB, I say all this, I just two times. So BBC, chatting to a reporter, and then going on BBC Radio and chatting to another reporter. It does, yeah. I did struggle with thinking, okay, well, it seems very self-centered and very much about me. And I've not really spoken too much about podiatry, but at the same time, I feel like, okay, well, you need to slow your horses. You will get there. And there's a lady who made a comment, and it was something about, I forget exactly what we were talking about. Oh no, we were doing icebreaker questions, and one of the questions was, if you could win an award for anything, what would it be? And I was like, well, I don't really like that much, like that's too much center of attention on one thing. I don't really like awards. I would rather, the award be distributed in another way. But for me personally, don't I'm not looking for that much like self-centered validation. I'm okay. Then the next question was, what did you do this year that you didn't really imagine doing last year? And I was like, YouTube. And one lady made a comment. She's like, oh, that's kind of ironic for a girl who says she doesn't really like attention, but then she's out there on YouTube. And I said, wait a minute. I said, no, you don't. No, you don't. I basically said, so my response was, well, I'm out there on the YouTube channel promoting my profession or promoting the career that I want, and promoting a platform and business that I want. I'm not out there showing my tits and say, hey, look at me, look at how awesome me and my titties are. Like, I'm not going around saying that. Like, it's more about like, hey, look how cool my profession is. Maybe you might want to join it, maybe you don't want to join it, that's on you. Like, those kind of comments, if they really like, they angle in on the wrong thing, and then they try to kind of like crabs in a bucket you, and I'm like, not today.
Yeah, you see, I'm hoping if it does become a thing where I have to get my titties out on TV, they at least get the angle right because they're not as pert as they used to be. Crabs in a barrel. Crabs in a barrel is really interesting, and that idea of as soon as you try and do something differently, boom, pull you back down. There's a variant of that of I think it's chimpanzees in two cages, so one cage on the bottom, one on the top, ladder between the two. The the ladder has an electric current running through it, and this is all experiments, and it's not obviously I didn't do it, it wasn't me. And what happens is honestly, it's not how I keep the kids under control anyway, and what happens is the monkey goes, right, and go up there, it gets buzzed, and then eventually they all learn that if you go up there, you get buzzed. Electricity gets turned off. New chimpanzee gets introduced, sees that, goes to go up the ladder, and can start to get up the ladder. And what they do is they actually all pull him down or her down, and start beating him. And it's that kind of learned sort of mentality which goes on, and we see this a lot. As soon as somebody stands up, tall poppy, try and knock them back down. Try and knock them back down. So I've got a little, not a theory on this, but an idea for you maybe to consider. How many more people could podiatry help if you ended up on BBC News or whatever thing, or your YouTube channel got 1 million subscribers and people knew more about podiatry? How many more people could be helped by podiatry if that was the case?
That's a really good question. That is a
Do you know,
really
it's like the question around money. I mean,
yeah.
people talk about money being, what's the phrase? Money is the root of all evil. Well, actually, it's not. Love of money is the root of all evil. If you earn more money for doing what you do, that gives you the freedom to help more people. Now, surely that's a good thing.
Yeah.
People will argue the toss on this as to whether Richard Branson's a good person or a bad person, or Bill Gates is a good person or a bad person. But the fact that they've earned copious amounts of cash and they're using it for causes,
Mm-hmm.
whether you agree with the causes, whether you agree with the way they've done it, whether you've had a bad signal on Virgin, or whether you don't like Microsoft Windows 95, whatever it is, they've had the ability using their success to actually make changes, which may not have happened otherwise. So I think if we sometimes we look at it the wrong way around.
Yeah, 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 for sure. I mean, I think you can argue that with anything. And I was having this conversation with one of my friends yesterday, and they made a comment that, oh, life sucks, and I was like, no, life actually doesn't suck. Life is beautiful. It's how people interact with each other that sometimes sucks, and I don't think we hold ourselves accountable for how our actions can influence other people. That could be either good way or bad, but we don't hold ourselves accountable, and that mindset of not holding yourself accountable, that triples. So the more people you're around and the more people you have relationships with, that kind of mentality and mindset, that grows and that spreads, kind of a bit like a virus. So I think, yeah, like you can argue that with any point, and it's just, at the end of the day, it comes down to how we use the thing. We could either use it for something positive or we can use it and contort it for something negative.
And positive, whether it's positive or negative, is entirely in the in the hands of the person receiving that message, and it's how they receive it. Some of the stuff I've been reading recently around kind of Buddhist text, which probably fits with the fact that I've got no hair, but there's a concept of emptiness, which yeah, I need a hairbrush. That'd be better, wouldn't it? Do my hair with it,
Or a fine wig, sir.
or a fine wig. But
Ta-da!
but this concept of emptiness, and I don't pretend for a moment to understand it entirely, but it's this concept that you know we talk about the person who made a comment on your video. Now we could turn around and say that person, yeah, they're a bit of a dick maybe, but that's my view. It doesn't mean that they are that. I'm not saying I think they're a dick, but if I view it in that way, I'm not saying that they're not necessarily saying that they are that kind of person, because on the flip side, there's somebody out there who thinks they're the most amazing thing since sliced bread. Now, if you can have one person or one thing which has that many different views and appreciation from one extreme to another, then what exactly is it? And actually, that thing is empty. And it sounds like I'm referring to a person as being empty, and that's not what I mean. And one of the things which seems to come from it, and I'm reading this book, great book recently called The Diamond Cutter, and it's talking about the fact that whatever you do, it's the intention you do it with. So if you do something, so if you're going to go on BBC TV with the intention of going, man, how many more lipsticks can I buy with the royalties? Then maybe
One
that's not
day.
going to, yeah, maybe that's not going to give you that bigger feeling of well-being internally. But if you go on there and say, I'm actually going to go on and I'm going to talk about podiatry and I'm going to push my profession, that's a much bigger kind of internal well-being.
Oh
And
yeah.
it's the intention which sits behind it, I think, which is powerful. And I think that's a really, that is back to that contribution. If you're contributing towards something, if you have a belief in something, then that's all the more powerful. But it still sits that whatever you say, whatever your message is, that it's entirely dictated by the person receiving it. They find the value in it, they find the meaning in it, and we can't tell people what the meaning is. They have to find it themselves. Some people will watch this and go, God, those two are just rambling on talking shit. Other people will watch it and go, yeah, that was a waste of however long. And other people will go, actually, there's some useful stuff in there which I can resonate with and I can use. And any of those are perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Any of them.
Yeah, for sure. No, I agree. You're right. It does depend on your intention and what you go through. And at the same time, perception is very important. Like that comment, I could either sit down and cry and moan about it, and be like, oh, well, that was so rude. Like that was so offensive. I'm deeply offended by it. Like how dare he not understand my message or whatever, some like schmucky thing that I have to say. Yeah. Or I could fuel that and make it content, which I'm doing right now. And I think at the end of the day, I got to give this guy credit. Like you're giving me ideas, buddy. Like keep the hate comments coming. I love it.
And we we well, I ended up doing a live on one of my Wednesday mornings with Justin and Kate and Celia, and we ended up on Twitch of all platforms. And I know
Really?
Twitch is for I know Twitch is for young people, much younger than me, sort of your age and younger, obviously, because you're very young, and it's for streaming games.
Anymore.
And yeah, well, yeah, you're just wearing the lipstick to look younger. That's all.
I
Um,
know.
yeah, for that little flick of hair, I like that. Just get out of the way. It's when you flick your hair and it all falls off and you're bald underneath. And we streamed on Twitch, and actually the comments which we had coming through on Twitch were particularly funny. We are actually recording here, and then my dad walks in. This is the kind of thing. So we're actually recording at the moment.
Good
So
morning, good afternoon, whatever it is.
yeah, I'll talk to you later. This is brilliant, isn't it? This is live. My
This is
dad.
great.
I don't know.
Okay.
He's my little boy.
Yeah,
Right.
cool.
Right. You'll see tomorrow anyway, okay?
Tomorrow, what's going on tomorrow?
Well, it's Saturday we come round, don't we?
Is it? No, it's Friday tomorrow.
Oh, is it Friday? I don't know.
Dementia. There you go. Dementia in action.
You see,
So,
this is what he does to me. Cheers.
see you
Oh
later.
yeah, yeah,
Love you.
that's good, everyone. That's so cute. Oh my God, Dad, you've got the cutest dad ever.
You're welcome to him. You're welcome to him. Which
I will.
I'll send him round. He does behave himself, and he is toilet trained, which makes it even better.
Brilliant.
When I say toilet trained, yeah, well, it's one of them anyway. What was I saying? I was going on about something there, wasn't I? What was I talking about before I got interrupted?
I don't know. I wasn't really listening.
Twitch. That was it. Talking about Twitch. And so we're on Twitch, and the comments which came through on Twitch were very, very rude comments. Very,
Oh,
very rude comments. And
what was he saying?
oh, you don't want to know. They were particularly rude and possibly sexual in nature. And there was the point where one of them got shared on the screen, which is like, this is a live got shared on the screen. So it's about your audience. And actually we talk about kind of hate stuff. If we're getting in a podiatry kind of forum, if we get hate stuff, then that becomes a more serious thing. Because you've got to look at the intentionality of it, and B, because actually that then becomes a professional kind of thing. You know, if you've got somebody who's registered with the Health and Care Professions Council and they have that kind of conduct, even in a private Facebook group, that's a professional conduct issue. So I don't think we're going to get hate stuff. You might get more potential for it on your own personal social media. I rarely get stuff. I think the only time I've ever had anyone comment on my professional business page, which was anything other than
Your bum.
what's that?
Stop scratching your bum.
I'm not scratching my bum. I'm feeling it. I'm just enjoying the fact that it's, you know,
It's
that
all
it's
the
not.
cycling you do.
Yeah, it's not down by my knees. I was just thinking, you know, what do you do when you think, I squeeze my own bottom?
Oh no. Yeah, I did this to myself. I regret saying anything ever.
Yeah, next time I'm going to feed a separate camera in and we're going to do a bomb cam. Never make you laugh when you're drinking, yeah?
Oh wait, inside or outside? You never answered my question.
So, you know, the word, I think the comment I got was I put something out there. My business name then was, or my social, I think it was the Foot and Leg Magician, which is about as cocky as you can get. And the idea was, when I went to a networking meeting, somebody turned around and said, what is it you do? And I went, oh, I'm a podiatrist and I do this and I do that. And I actually went, you know, scrap that. Just think of a podiatrist as a foot and leg magician. I find problems with your feet and legs you didn't even know you had, and I fix them in ways which look like magic.
Yeah.
Boom. So I used to call myself a foot and leg magician, and some guy came on who was actually a podiatrist, a registered podiatrist, and said, he's not a magician, he's a twat. Which I thought was quite good, and that was the first time I'd got any kind of sort of, oh, and that's not a bad one by any means. Nothing nasty on there. But you have this ability to block, delete, and get rid.
God, yeah.
That's the beauty of it.
I'm gonna frame my comment because I was like, to be honest, I was really happy I got one. Like I know it was a bit of like, because I didn't respond. Like you and Tyson responded, and I was like, I don't need to add to this. Like you and Tyson made very good, valid points, and that's it. That's the end of it. Like I don't think even he ended up responding after. It's probably not worth it.
No, and it wouldn't. And you know, we all do we find somebody who turns around and says something, and yes, we all go and see who they are, and we go and have a look about them. We make our judgments about them.
Yeah.
You know, that for someone that person is somebody who made a comment. They felt strongly about it. They made a comment. But what would have been really valuable is that they'd actually come back and said, okay, I don't like that as promoting the profession, and here's the reasons why. Can we have a dialogue? Can we have a dialogue and conversation about it? Can I give you my suggestions? Because if you when I managed on the NHS, people would come to you and say, oh, I've got this problem, and say, cool. Or not cool, because that'd be really cool. That'd be really cruel. But say, cool, but what solutions have you got? So don't come to me just with a problem. Come with a potential solution so we can work together. And if someone turns around and says, I don't like the way you're promoting the profession, say, okay, thank you. Appreciate the feedback and certainly appreciate the engagement. How can you do it? What can you do to help me? And what can you do to help the profession?
Yeah.
People come back and there's nothing. And it's like,
well, then it's up to me then to find a solution, and then my solution is, you know what, like that's gonna be that.
Exactly, and you know, this is the thing. If we're going to promote the profession, we can't be picky and choosy about how we do it if we're not doing it enough. And we don't know. I mean, we all get, there's a thing called the spotlight effect, where we believe that people are paying attention to us probably about 2 or 3 times more than they actually are, which to me means that you can do a 2 or 3 more times videos with a squeaky voice and little bunny ears. I can do a live video with you 2 or 3 times more where I'm gently caressing my buttocks. There's so many things which we can do on that, and people will still probably not pay enough attention.
Probably.
So,
yeah.
Then no one's going to pay attention to my buttocks anyway. But that's a whole other story. So And you know, actually, it's really interesting thinking about the confidence of things. I mean, I don't know where you're going to stick this. That's probably the wrong phrase to use as well. But I don't know quite where you're going to put this video. But I've got no problem with it going out on social media. I mean, what's someone going to say? Someone's going to turn around and go, I really did not appreciate the comment about your buttocks. Well, okay, fine. Good. Was there anything?
On UK Podiatry, I'm going to post it everywhere. Everywhere. I want to see if that person responds again.
My career is in tatters.
My career. You'll be fine.
So okay, it's a question then. So if we were gonna go on a bit of a quest, if we were going to go on a quest to promote podiatry, what would we do? What would we do? I mean, how would we do it? Because if we can't do it by having fun, how do we do it?
You could use the shock effect. Like you could be like, if you don't look after your foot, it's gonna fall off. Dun dun! And then see what people say. They'll probably tell you to F off, to be fair.
Yeah, probably. But some people would respond to that positively and go, oh, shit, I hadn't realised that was a potential complication. And actually, if you look at, sort of in my experience of kind of social media images, the two types of images which get attention and get engagement are something graphical, which looks nasty, because people, it's like looking at car crashes and rubbernecking when you're driving along the road and you see a car crash, you look at it, because it's a morbid fascination, or pictures of people. That personality stuff, the people who are there and present, those are the two things which seem to get attention. So sometimes the shock value can work.
Yeah. So
is that it?
A question to you. What kind of tips or what kind of advice would you give to students, or actually no, scrap that, not even students. What advice would you give to students, professionals who receive bad reviews or criticism, or let's say hate comments? What kind of advice would you give to them, or even like tips on how to deal with it?
Say thank you.
Yeah.
Just say thank you for your comment. Appreciate your viewpoint. That's it. That is where I would begin. And you will get some people who will then come back because they haven't got the response they wanted, and they will dig and dig and dig. And you just keep it respectful. Keep it respectful. Keep it completely non-personal. Because as soon as you make it personal, it becomes that ad hominem attack, and then it loses it. And if it does become personal from the other side, you then just bow out and say, look, it's become personal now. I don't think this is really worth continuing this discussion. Appreciate your time so far. Thank you very much. Leave it at that. And that seems to work. Then you put on some red lipstick and you come on a live with me, and then we use it for content. But actually, I think, be respectful, say thank you because it's all engagement. Appreciate the fact that what you are saying has created an emotional response, and it may be seen as a negative emotional response, but the flip side of that is someone's going to find it, and they'll find it as a positive emotional response, which will lead to change. So know that you have made a difference, and whether you view it as a good or bad difference doesn't matter. And then keep going. Just do more of it. Be the biggest traction I ever had in my kind of social media, and the time where things changed was where I took my personality and showed it off more. Where I was just like, this is me, and you either like me or you don't. I can't control that. I can just be me. But what I do know is that you will like me less if you think I'm this person, but actually when you come to see me in clinic, I'm going to be this person, or you meet me in real life. And anyone who does actually meet me in real life and see me on video, I'd like to think that they don't find there's too much of a difference between the two.
Yeah.
And that's cool. So you just put your personality into it. Talk about the things which are passionate for you. Talk about the things which frustrate you. Be open and honest and respectful about it. If you get frustrated by the fact that I've given that patient advice to wash in saline, salty water, their ingrowing toenail after they've had surgery for the next 3 weeks, and not to get it wet, and then they go in the swimming pool, you're allowed to say that pisses you off. And you're allowed to use that as an example. Obviously, not pointing out the person and putting their picture on Facebook. That would be really bad. But you're allowed to turn around and go, one of the things which really pisses me off about this is when people do this.
Yeah.
And here's why: because it slows the healing, because it causes complications further down the line, and people don't get why we're telling them to do this. So, massive amounts of personality. So you get anything which comes back and is a reaction to what you're doing. Keep going, because you're getting people's attention. And that's what we need in our profession. That's what we need in the industry, is we need people to pay attention to what we're doing. And for every person who hates us or dislikes us or doesn't agree with what we're doing, there is one person out there who will, either have an ulcer which then gets treated, or something which gets prevented, or will know somebody which they can pass that information on to, and it will save a limb or a life or all kinds of stuff. And that's the way we've got to think about it. We're contributing. That's for me is the key thing. I don't know whether I've answered the question or whether I've gone off on another of Dave's rants.
No, you have. You've answered the question beautifully. And before I let you go, do you have any questions for me?
Oh, blimey. Does it have to be a professional question?
Well, does it contribute to the profession?
It will contribute to the profession.
Yeah.
Let me think. What's the thing which has pissed you off the most about podiatry so far? You can take the fifth on that one if you really need to. And you're free to ask me exactly the same question afterwards. I don't mind if you want to get me back.
I'm gonna plead the fifth. Can we skip that question? Go to the next one.
Of course we can. Yeah, of course we can. That's fine. Because I appreciate that as somebody who has been qualified 13 years, has been around the profession since 2004 when I started, who's had podiatry treatment, who was a nurse before. I've been in healthcare 25 years. That I can probably say things which you can't, because it's a very, very different position. So maybe I tell you something and then you can quote me, and that's easier. What other question can we ask? What other question can we ask? What's your favourite lower limb muscle?
My favorite lower limb muscle.
Oh no!
You said lower limb. It's in there. So.
You mean posterior tibial, don't you?
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah. You know what? Yeah, sure. Let's stick with that.
Well, we can scrub the BBC off the list now. I think you're going Channel 5 at the moment.
You know what? I think I should scrub that off the list like yesterday when I went to go speak to them this week. So on BBC Radio, where they can see my face, thank God. They asked me about one of my videos about one of my date videos where I was on a date with this person who didn't know what podiatry was. And I ended up saying on the radio that I would much rather have a dick pic than somebody whipping their foot out on the table and showing me what their foot problem is on a date. And I said that on the radio. I said that live. They couldn't even edit it out.
That's why live is good, and that's why with this you won't edit this. You'll just kind of chop the beginning and the end off if you do, and then you'll put it out there, because that's part of the fun. That's why I like live so much.
Yeah. We should do a live one day.
That could be dangerous. But fun. But fun. Yeah, we could do that.
You know,
I'm trying to think if I've got another question for you. Have I got another question for you?
I've got. So I'm free after. The week of the 12th of October. Until then, I'm quite busy.
Yeah.
Anymore, Dave. Sorry.
Well, I'm not special anyway. We know that one. Yeah, that week's pretty good actually.
Yay. Oh wait, no, I lied. I lied. Sorry.
Bloody students.
I know. So the 19th of October, that's the week I'm free.
That is a bonkers week for me.
Oh, shoot. How about next week? Sorry, no, the week after. Not next week.
Next week. Ah, that's looking better.
The 26th?
26th, yeah.
Or wait, actually, you know what? Could we do? Yeah, could we do like an evening one? Because I've got classes back now. And I've got like, I mean, they're online classes. But I still need to attend.
No, we could, yeah, we can do.
What time were you?
I think. Will you tell me?
5 p.m.?
5 p.m.
We can
on the 26th.
We can ruin people's supper.
Okay. Done. There you go. 5 p.m. 26th. Look at that.
Facebook Live with Dave. Cool. I've never done that before. I mean, I tried to do that with tomorrow's podiatry, but then failed epically.
It can be done via Zoom. It's all good. So you're still recording this as well. So you'll upload this, and it'll be the process of us booking live in the diary.
On that note,
Yeah.
I'm gonna let you go because I've got to go do things with my life and be fabulous.
Me too. I was fabulous to begin with. Now I'm more fabulous.
I was gonna say you're still fabulous, but you ruined it for me. So I'm gonna go.
That's not the first time that somebody said that to me. But anyway, you've ruined everything for me.
You ruined everything.
My life, my entire being. That was cool. I enjoyed that. Thank you. Go be fabulous. Go do things.
Thanks. Goodbye.